Yeah. Hey everybody, welcome back. So I'm doing another answer to a question that was asked on another video. This is our video. It was a short we did on like an 8-year Elijah Craig barrel proof of private barrel. And this was from the Dunes 3000. They said, I just started drinking bourbon in the last month and I got 9 bottles. You guys think that's enough for beginners? You can never have enough bourbon, right? No. And Buffalo Trace goes down like water, LOL. So thank you for the question and great idea for another video. And I believe you're in Canada, so I'm not sure how relevant these suggestions I have are going to be. I don't know what's available up in Canada. But as far as are 9 bourbons enough? Well, I'll put a link at the end of this video to our video on how many bourbons do you need. But like if you're not making your mortgage payment and you're not like getting food for your family, then probably too much. But if you've got the disposable income to do that, then yeah, that's fine. You know, who am I to judge, right? So I was originally gonna do this with one video, kind of like bourbons I would recommend to a beginner in bourbon. But as I started looking at what we have and thinking about it, I'm going to do it in four different ways. So 4 different videos. The first video, this one, it's going to be, I'm thinking what, who is it? The Dunes 3000 said that, you know, Buffalo Trace goes down like water. That's because it's mostly water, right? It's 60% water. I'm going to say you like, or you can handle whiskey or alcohol that is, you know, higher proof. So you're probably not new to whiskey, maybe new to bourbon, but not new to whiskey like I was. I started drinking bourbon in 2018, but I was not new to whiskey. I had been drinking single malt scotch for quite a while before that. So I'm going to go with most of what I have here is legacy distilleries, because dollar for dollar, it's super hard to beat what a legacy distillery can put out. So these are going to be, this first video, 100 proof and above, and they are $50 and above. Okay, the next video is going to be less than 100 proof. After that, I'm going to do a video that is 100 proof or above, but under $50. And then I'm going to do a video of less than 100 proof that's going to be more like budget oriented, probably $35-ish and less. So we're going to start with, you're new to bourbon, not new to whiskey. What do we recommend? So first off, Wild Turkey Rare Breed. For us in Oregon, that's $50. It's 116.8 proof. And then Russell's Reserve Single Barrel. For us, it is $65, and it is 110 proof. If I could only pick one, I would take the Russell's Reserve. They're both delicious. I drink both of them. Wild Turkey Rare Breed. It's like a punchy caramel vanilla that has like some cinnamon. In the caramel though, like you hear Wild Turkey funk, the caramel is like, if I would imagine like a rotting caramel, if that makes sense. Like Wild Turkey does have some type of funk to it. And in this, the Rare Breed, it presents itself that way more on the caramel side. It's like a rotting type of funk. And it has like a good barrel char, cinnamon finish. It's a wonderful bourbon for $50. It's very hard to beat. Now, the Russell's Reserve Single Barrel, it's a little more money, it's a little less proof, but it is non-chill filtered, and these are single barrels. And I feel like these tend to lean towards like an older bourbon. I want to say, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like this is probably, what, 8 to 12-year-old bourbons are in this. This, probably depending on the year, closer to 10 years. Some of these, I'm going to guess, could be 13, 14 years old. Guessing they're probably coming from lower down on the rick, in the rick house, where bourbons will lose more alcohol. So they'll kind of go down in proof as they age. Those kind of bourbons, they have like a musty, funky, like musty oak, moldy leather old book note to them, which I really like, versus a bourbon that is in that same age range but isn't higher up in the rick house, where more water is evaporating and they're going to go up in proof. So probably, I'm thinking the Russell's Reserve 13-year or the single rick stuff, that presents itself in like the age in more of like a spicy oak and cinnamon than this does. But I feel like this has got some age to it, especially this particular bottle. But it's like old musty cinnamon, old musty caramel. It tastes like mellow and wise, if that makes sense. But it's really delicious. It's got a great mouthfeel. You cannot go wrong with these. Okay, so what do we have next? So we've got Four Roses single barrel. These are all 100 proof here in Oregon. They're $50 a bottle. And Four Roses small batch select, 104 proof. And in Oregon, it's about $65 a bottle. One of my favorite, like, easy sippers. So these, I get light buttery caramel and vanilla, but also lots of cinnamon, lots of cardamom. The finish has lots of baking spice. For 100 proof, they're very flavorful, very, very good. They're always findable. No, I have two different bottles. These bottles are actually from the same exact year, from the same exact warehouse, and I believe they're the same. Yeah, the north side of the same warehouse. The difference is one of them came from the first floor of the rick, one came from the very top floor of the rick. So if you'd like to see a video on, like, does it make a difference where on the rick it comes from, let me know. There is a difference between these, I'll say that. They're both good though. This small batch select, I'm going to say it's what these present. It is non-chill filtered, so you're going to have a little bit better mouthfeel, but it just presents more oily, and it presents more barrel char on the palate and on the finish. It's a little bit richer experience than what these give you, but you can't go wrong either way. In Oregon, for the price difference, I would probably just go with those if I had to pick. So what do we have next? A couple of absolute hitters for the money. Two of my favorites. Knob Creek 9-year-old single barrel. This thing is 120 proof, and I believe it's about $60, $65 in Oregon. We have the Knob Creek 12-year small batch, and it is 100 proof, and it is $70. So this Knob Creek 9-year, a very good, rich, like burnt caramel coated mixed nuts. That's what it has, and it's got really good cinnamon on the finish. Now I'm just giving really basic notes for these because I'm thinking along the lines of like a new bourbon drinker. So, you know, I feel like you can kind of start with the basics, and from there you can kind of dissect them a little bit more on your own. Now the 12-year, less proof, I just feel like this has more of that burnt caramel note, like toasted nuts, toasted baking spice, like a very good dark barrel char. Like, you can taste the age on this. It's really wonderful. It's really, 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 really good. So what else do we have? Hopefully I got enough room here. We have Trails End 10-year double oaked in a Corpus Gariana or Oregon oak barrel. It's $60 in Oregon, 105 proof. The next is Eastside, 12-year-old. This is 110 proof. It's $70, but it is also double oaked in Oregon oak barrels. This trails in 10-year. I believe what I read online that it is sourced from Heaven Hill because it tastes like a Heaven Hill bourbon, but better. I think that's where that Oregon oak second aging comes in. But it has like a luscious dark caramel, burnt, again, a burnt spice, I'm gonna say more like baking spice, but it has a depth and a richness. I say burnt caramel, but if you could like caramelize caramel, which sounds funny, or honey, like it's deep and rich tasting, kind of like what this Knob Creek 12-year-old is. You can taste the age on this. It's very good. Now this, the Eastside 12-year, it is basically, I'm going to say this, but amped up and add in a little bit of fruit, like a stone fruit, like a toasted peach maybe, or plummy type note. It, for the money and what it is, at least in Oregon, it's $70 a bottle. It's so worth it. It's really, really a fantastic bourbon. Dark and rich. And if you like age, like I prefer bourbons that are around 10 years old or older. These are just so good for the money. So what else do I recommend for a new bourbon drinker that likes proof? Man, that's so good. I'm going to tell you what that is at the end. Next up, what we have, the Maker's Mark Cask Strength. This is $55. It's around typically 110 proof. And we also have Maker's Mark 46 Cask Strength. Also typically around 110 proof and $60 a bottle. So this Maker's Mark Cask Strength, if you know, I'm not like, not that I don't like a wheated bourbon, I'm just not the biggest fan of them. These are both good and I'll drink them, but I would take one of these over these. But I know a lot of people like wheated bourbon and like the hype with Weller. People love wheated bourbon. This Maker's Mark Cask Strength, it's basically just sweet oak, some light char on the finish, and some light cinnamon. It has a sweeter profile. This Maker's 46 is that, but a little bit darker. Like if you took what this is and you caramelized it, I would say that's what this Maker's 46 gives you. So if you are into wheated bourbons or you want to try some wheated bourbons, you can't go wrong with these, really. For the money, they're pretty darn good. All right, next up, this one, I don't know, might upset a few people, but Stagg is also very good. 132.2 proof, $55. This Elijah Craig barrel proof is $75 now. They are, I feel like, dropping in quality. I was not able to get a C923, didn't release it in Oregon, but so other than that, they're still, like, compared to other bourbons on the market, they're very good. This one's 10 years, 9 months old. They are, I'm going to say now, probably going to range between 120 to 130 proof. And you used to be able to tell more of a difference from the different batches. The A batches used to give you more, I'm going to say fruit notes. B batches were just more caramel and nut, and the C batches were that, but amped up in cinnamon and barrel char. But this is still good. They're all basically going to give you, like, the oak is like kind of like a tingly oak, almost green but charred, if that makes sense. Now, I'm only going to recommend Stagg if you can get it for the same price or less than the Elijah Craig barrel proof. It's not worth more than that. They're good, but they're not what people hype them up to be, because, like I said, this Elijah Craig is It's very good. You can, like, this reminds me of the Russell's Reserve. Like, I know it says it's 10 years, 9 months old. That's the youngest barrel in here. I wouldn't be surprised if there's 14, 15-year-old barrels in here, but just from a lower rick, because it has that old, musty, damp, rotting oak, old book leather, tobacco-y note, which I get from older bourbons that are aged, I'm going to say, on lower tiers of the ricks, because they are losing alcohol as they age, so going down in proof, versus the other ones that go up in proof as they age, the higher tiers, which are going to get more richer, spicier, caramely flavors. But it's very good. The Stagg is going to have some like warm, this one is like warm buttered brown sugar with some cinnamon, a little bit of caramel, some barrel char. There's not a lot going on them, but they're very tasty. They really are. Buffalo Trace does know what they're doing. So I have a couple more. 1792 full proof is 125 proof always. It's 52 bucks for us in Oregon. The Jack Daniels, the ones I get are typically about 130 proof, plus or minus a little bit, and they now are $66 in Oregon. So this 1792 full proof, I don't know why, but it's getting a lot harder to find. Like, I haven't found one of these on a shelf in quite a while. It's good. It's like sweet cinnamon dusted oak char with some caramel sauce, right? There's not a lot going on, but it is good. For 52 bucks, you're going to be hard pressed to find something that beats it. This Jack Daniel's single barrel proof, also just a wonderful barrel proof bourbon. This thing is, for some reason, I got caramel, hibiscus, and toasted marshmallow with this Jack Daniel's. It really is good. For something that's available that you can find, it's hard to beat. So there's the last two, new Riff, single barrel strength. These are all at least 4 years old. This one is 113.3 proof, and you can pick this up for about 50 bucks. Next is Balcones Brimstone. It's pot distilled Texas scrub oak smoked. I believe it's blue corn. This is 106 proof. I mean, it's really, really good. I recommend trying it if you're new to bourbon. But this new Riff is sweet raw demerara sugar turned into a syrup, and I don't know, put some cinnamon into it, a little bit of char. That's what this has. Like, for 4 years old and for about 50 bucks, it's non-chill filtered. Man, it's really good. Now, Balcones, this is like, I mean, you can tell it's younger. I'm going to say this is probably only about maybe 2 years old, but look how dark that is, right? Because of aging in Texas. But man, pit barbecue in a glass and some like burnt corn, molasses on the finish. It's got a white peppery graininess to it. I would definitely recommend it. It's like nothing else, and it's something I always have on the shelf. Like, I really enjoy it. So there you go. You got 16 whiskeys here for a new bourbon drinker. Like, if I just had these for bourbons to drink from now on, I would be completely satisfied, because I've tried lots of bourbons. Most of them don't stand up to these, right? They really don't. So if you like this kind of content, consider subscribing. And the next video is going to be the better quality 90 proof bourbon for new bourbon drinkers. Like, get these ones first if you can't handle proof. So anyways, thank you again. Until next time.